All right. Thank you. So I'm recording. All right. So that's a very important thing to know, that the ability to communicate what you know in a way that is effective so that the person who is listening can understand it and can use it, can benefit from it, is such an important skill. It's such an important thing to do. Okay. And so when you are able to do that, then you are able to affect people in a way that impacts them and moves them forward. It's also the dexterity, the ability. It's like, have you see a skillful golf player like Tiger Woods, or a skillful tennis player like, I used to like Federer, but I think now we have, who are the people that are on ground? Can somebody type the names of the people? The current people, I've been seeing them, Sinner and different people, those of you that follow tennis, okay? You want to see people who are skillful. Alcaraz, what's his name? Okay, people who are skillful, who are good at their craft. That's how public speaking is. It's a skill that you can get so good at that you're able to move whole crowds because of how you're able to apply those skills. It's also a power. It's a power that you learn to use and to be able to do it competently in a way that people can depend on you to deliver the goods. So it's a skill. Understanding that means that you will remove some of the myths that we will talk about later. There are many myths around public speaking that hold us bound and make us feel like, I can't do this thing, okay? And we'll deal with those later. But understand that it is a skill that you can learn, and anybody can learn it. Because, like the title of one book that I saw, everything is figure outable. Everything can be figured out. So I say this so that we deal with the mindset first, okay? Because the mindset is important. How you think about public speaking is important for whether you are going to be able to be effective in doing it. If you think this is something you cannot do, then you'll find it difficult to do. But if you think this is something I can learn, and you're open to learn, even if for the past 50 years you have never been able to do this thing, you know that you can learn it, and then you can move forward and do it. Okay? Who needs this skill? This skill of public speaking. Is there a particular group of people that need it? And maybe there's another group that should not use it. If you look at this list and it's not exhaustive, you'll find that virtually everybody needs this skill. Do you know that even as a parent, if you have 2, 3, 4, 5 children in your house, or people in your house, you need some degree of public speaking skill, because the ability to communicate your ideas to people in a way that is effective to them. You know what is effective? Effective is not what left your mouth. It's what they heard. Effective is what they understood. That's when you know it's effective. I've said something now, I've been speaking now, and I've said a number of things so far. But you see, I'm only effective if you understand what I'm saying, if you receive what I'm saying. I can say it and you can understand it in a way that is not what I'm saying. I'll give you an example. I've heard this saying, this phrase in Yoruba that I'm told, I don't know, people who are Ibira here can confirm for me, I'm told has a totally different meaning in Ibira. It says, Otamide Adamida. Okay? Otamide Adamida in Yoruba means my enemy has come. Where is my, like, machete? Where is my machete? Otamide Adamida. I'm told that in Ibira, it means my friend has come. Where is my father? Something like that. So you see the problem now. If I'm talking to an Ibira audience and I say Otamide Adamida, they're going to be happy when I'm trying to say, hey, people, let's get busy and find our weapons. We need to go to war. But because they're hearing from a whole different framework, they will not understand what I'm saying. That is the same way it is with public speaking in any of these fields. Now, my background is in pharmacy. I'm a pharmacist. What that means is I have to be able to communicate to my my patients in a way that they will understand. I'll give you an example. One day, many years ago, I was working in a community pharmacy, and a woman came, elderly woman, and she came to the counter, and she was in a hurry. Now, because she was elderly, she saw me as this young girl who was wearing a lab coat and, who she could order around. I mean, she's mama. So she's like, girl, I need these drugs. And she gives me this paper. Now, it was a rough piece of paper. It was clearly not a proper prescription, but there was a drug named there. And there were these two lines. Most of us know, I'm sure you know what it means if you see a drug with two lines like 11 dash, two lines like 11 dash, two lines like 11. What it means is 2 tablets in the morning, 2 tablets in the afternoon, 2 tablets in the evening. And she wanted it for 1 week. Okay. So I rushed to the counter in this very busy pharmacy, and I rushed and I grabbed the drug that she wanted. And I was about to dispense it when I remembered something about that drug. And I looked at it again. I'm like, what? That dose would have killed her by evening. But she was in a hurry. How do I communicate to her that this is dangerous? Okay, so I need words to be able to communicate to her, but I also need the ability to communicate in a way that the person will receive it. She is mama. I can say it in a way that is so respectful that she says, you know what, just give me anyway, it doesn't matter. I can say it in a way that makes her understand that this is a matter of urgency. I cannot give you this drug. I don't want you to die. How do I communicate to her in a way that she gets the message, the exact message that I need her to get? Because in that moment, it's not enough for me to make sure that I don't sell it to her. It needs to be that she does not have the thought that she should just go to another pharmacy and buy it. Because I don't want this woman to die. Do you understand the point I'm making? That the effectiveness of your message is a very important component. And everybody, whether you're a professional, whether you're a public figure, whether you're even a parent, whether you are a job seeker, we all need this skill. Okay, so it's important to understand that. Thank you so much. Welcome. So always important. Thank you so much for the comments. All right, so what is this fear of public speaking? If we know that this is something that is very important, can we please respond if we are sure that this is an important skill? Let me see a 1 in the chat. If you say this is an important skill, I'm sure it's a very important skill. Let me see number 1 in the chat. You know, one of the things about Zoom is that if you don't get feedback, people can just put on their device and go away. So you need feedback, right? All right, awesome. I see Hey Guy, awesome. I see Ngozi, I see Adama, 1s. Yes, it's an important skill. If you think it's not important, please let me see a 2 in the chat. Let's not assume that everybody is on the same page. All right. Okay, so it's important. Benedict says it's important. Adeza says it's important. Amazing. All right, so it's an important skill, but something holds us back. What is that? It's fear. We're afraid. Thank you, Joey. I see your response as well. We're afraid of public speaking. Why? First of all, what is the experience of the fear of public speaking? If you watch that small video I posted on the group, you see something really remarkable, that people are even more afraid of public speaking than they are of even death. Yes, it's true. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen people who are so terrified that they almost pass out, that the blood drains from their heads and they can't think anymore, that they break out into a sweat, that they are shaking like if, all the sugar in their blood has disappeared. It can be a very scary experience to face the public. Hearts are beating and pounding. They can hear their hearts beating in their ears. But why? Why would somebody be so afraid? One of the things we need to understand about this fear of public speaking is that we were not born with it. Have you had a 2-year-old child that you went with to a very quiet place? Maybe you went to watch a movie in the cinema, or you went to church, or you went to some kind of gathering where you were hoping this child would just keep quiet. And you did everything in your power. You brought biscuits, you brought juice, you brought everything so that that child would keep quiet. Who has that experience? Can anybody give me a thumbs up in the chat if you have had that experience? You've gone with a child. You want this child to just keep quiet, age 1, age 2, just be quiet. And you're doing everything in your power to keep them quiet. Do they always keep quiet? Do they keep quiet? When they want to speak to you, you're right there. Don't they speak out loud? Ah, no response. Do they speak out loud? Of course they do. Okay, exactly. They do, Benedict. They speak out loud because they are not born with the fear of public speaking. They're not aware that this sound that has left their mouth, there are millions of people out there who are hearing it, that there are thousands of people who are turning back to see whose child is that. They're not aware. They don't have those hang-ups that we have as adults. Ah, somebody will be looking at me one kind. Hey, what if they don't like the way I say it? What if I'm not actually a very good speaker? They don't have those thoughts. They're born with freedom of public speaking. We end up changing that F, freedom, to fear. And how do we do it? We do it by telling people, shh, be quiet. And I'm not saying that we should all be shouting at the top of our voices. But over the years, we indoctrinate ourselves. We train ourselves by telling ourselves it's wrong to speak up in public. Children should be seen and not be heard. Women should be seen and not be heard. A decent person does not speak up when they're not spoken to. So over time, we learn to stifle our freedom of public speaking until we now develop something even worse. We move from one end of the spectrum, freedom, to the complete other end, fear. And fear grips us as if something is going to happen because we've been told that something terrible will happen. We don't even know what it is, but we just know that it is something we've been told all these years. Don't do it. Don't speak. Don't speak. And so we keep quiet. Maybe it's the culture. The culture tells you that people of your caliber should not be speaking. You can imagine what will happen if you are in your own country, among your own people, and you find it difficult to speak. What happens when you japa? If you japa, those who want to japa. Ah, that one you will never speak in public because you don't want anybody to hear your accent. Your accent is different. You don't want anybody to hear how you talk. What if your English is a bit distorted? Meanwhile, among Oyibo people, I hope you know that there are Spanish people, there are Italians, there are people who don't speak English, who do their bend English when they have to. Have you heard tennis players? I don't know why I'm talking about tennis so much today, but tennis players who do not come from where they speak English. And it's okay for them to be bend, but somehow one mindset has caught you that, I'm Black, I can't speak in this kind of space. Or maybe it's your environment where you were raised, people like you don't talk. People like you are quiet. And so you also want to be quiet. You also don't want to be spoken to. You don't want to speak. All right? So whatever it is, or maybe it is your family background, or maybe something happened when you were a child. I spoke with someone recently who had the opportunity when she was a child, in primary school, to give a speech. And she stood on stage and she gave this speech from the bottom of her heart. Unfortunately, what she didn't know, she had done the speech in her school before and she received a lot of applause. So that boosted her confidence and she went to represent her school at this other place where other people from other schools were presenting. But they were better prepared. They had coaches, they had teams. Some of them came and made their own, like a drama skit and all of that. And she was the only one just standing there on stage. Some of them had props and all these things that they were using to demonstrate. And she only had her speech. So she didn't get the kind of applause that she expected. But do you know what really devastated her? It was that her mother was there in the crowd and not even her mother clapped. And that was the end of public speaking for her. She just felt, I'm not good enough. And that was a defining moment. Some of us have those early childhood experiences. Does anybody have anything like that? Have you ever had that kind of thing that's made you say, ah, because of this thing, I remember that this happened. And after that, I said, never again, I will never climb on stage. Well, there's good news. With any problem, and public speaking, the fear of public speaking is just another one of those problems. With any problem, awareness, understanding, and practice can help you to overcome. Awareness of what? We need to be aware of how did we develop this problem? This fear that we picked that we were not born with, where did we get it from? And I loved the responses on the poll on the group, okay? Let me see if I can quickly share that, because it would be good for us to see that as well, okay? So on the group, we all responded, different ones of us, to the question about what is our fear? What is the root cause of our fear of public speaking? All right. And for some of us, okay, I have to make that sorry. Okay. I have to make this a co-host, my other device a co-host, so that I can share my screen. There we go. All right, so hold on and take a look at this. All right. So here we had the there we go. So if you look at that, you see that the fear of forgetting your lines was the winner. That we're afraid, what if I forget my lines? Okay, what if I forget my lines? And I know that can be scary. Okay, so one of the things that you need to understand about this is that even that fear can be handled, and there's a way to handle it. All right. The second one, why did it stop sharing? The second fear, or the second set of fears was, sorry. Okay, there we go. The second set of, okay, so the other two that tied were fear of being judged and fear of making mistakes. All right, so similar, you see that all around those three is basically the fear of failure. It's different shades of the fear of failing in public. It's one thing to fail, it's another thing to fail in public. Ah, I would disgrace myself. Maybe you're thinking I would disgrace my family. Maybe you're thinking, I would disgrace my people. I would disgrace. No, not in public. It's fine to make a mistake, but not in public. And that is at the basis, as the base of our fear of public speaking. All right, so let me get back to the other slides. Okay. All right. So, but the good news, like I said, is that we can overcome that. All right. So like I've mentioned, as children, right, we're used to seeking attention. When we're children, we were seeking attention. We didn't have any inhibitions. We didn't have anything holding us back. But as we grew older, because of those factors, we have now become afraid of public speaking. The one I didn't address earlier that I should address is this matter of genetics. Sometimes people have a genetic predisposition to anxiety. So it means that there's a health condition that makes a person more anxious than the average person. They hear boom. You and I hear boom, and maybe we start a bit to just, what happened? What's that? But this person hears boom, and their heart is almost out of their chest. Okay, they have a genetic, let's call it a, maybe not a disease, but a condition that can be addressed even medically. Okay, and that can also be a factor that makes the fear of public speaking even bigger in their own eyes, even bigger in their own minds than the average person. So that also is something that can be addressed. And if you need help on that, that can also be handled. But let's move forward. Okay, so unraveling the fear of public speaking, in fact, the fear of anything. One major fear is the fear of the unknown. Why do I say that? How many of us fear fire? If you fear fire, put that in the chat. Say yes, yes, yes. Let me see yeses if you fear fire. I fear fire. Yes. Just put yes or why. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Benedict fears fire. So does Adeza. So does Helen. So does 1910 AC 520. Wow. That's a coded name. Yeah. But you see, many of us fear fire, or so we think. But with all your fear of fire, how many of us cook? If you fear fire and you cook, put A in the chat. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Hassana fears water more. All right. Okay, good. So you see that you fear fire, but you cook. Do you know why? Because you understand fire. Now, while you fear it, you understand it. And that helps you to know that, okay, if I can keep fire under this kind of control, then I can manage it. I can even do things that are useful to me with this same thing that I supposedly fear. Do you see that? Actually, one major reason why we are fearful is because we don't know what we need to know about what we fear. So with knowledge comes the freedom from fear. If you know that fire is something that can burn paper more than burn sand, that if we have an electric fire, then we should probably pour sand on it rather than use water to quench it. That helps you to have some degree of control so that you are less likely to get into trouble with this thing that you supposedly fear. In fact, you can even harness that thing and use it to your advantage. So I use fire as an example. Water is another good example, like Hassanat brought up. That the fear of water, you may fear water, but you drink water every day. You fear water, but you take your bath every day. You use water to cook. You use water to clean your house, but you supposedly fear water. No, what you do is you understand water. And so you know how to use it, where to use it. You know where your restrictions are with water. You know that, okay, what I actually fear maybe is jumping into a big pool of water. But if it was a small pool, I wouldn't be afraid because I'm not afraid of drowning. So what you're really afraid of is probably drowning. So one of the things I will tell you for water, for example, is if you face that fear by saying, okay, I'm afraid of drowning, yes. But if I go to a swimming pool and I get coached and I now know how to float and how to breathe while swimming, I would conquer this fear. So the actual thing that is making you afraid is the ignorance of that thing you fear. Because when you understand it, and remember we talked about awareness as step one, understanding is step two, all right? That when you understand it, then you're able to harness it. You're able to bring it under your control. And that's what we've been doing as human beings over the years, isn't it? That you have an animal that is a pet in your house. It's probably because you've learned how to handle that kind of animal. You've learned what it can eat, what it wouldn't eat. You've learned how to treat it and get it to be your friend rather than your enemy, etc. It is the same thing with public speaking. So most of our fear is based in ignorance. But if we know what we need to know, then we'll be able to overcome that fear. And so the fear of public speaking is overcome by knowledge and skill. Okay, I hope that point is made. Now, understand this, that in public speaking, you're basically communicating. Communication happens between you and yourself, between you and your God, between you and the people around you, between you and everybody. But in public speaking, you're talking to a larger group of people. Your recipient, the recipient of what you're saying, is not one person. Like now, here I am, I'm talking, and there are 20 participants. So 20 people are listening to me. It's different from if I was talking with only Adeza, or only Nana, or only Benedict. If me and Ngozi were talking, or me and Helen, it's different from where me and all of you are talking and getting all of you to hear me out, okay? So what to say when I'm talking to Ngozi, if I know Ngozi, for example, then I know that Ngozi, maybe I know she's my friend. I know that when I tell her, hey, babe, how far now? She knows that I'm her pal and that I mean, I can't come here and address you all and say, hey, babe, how far now? For a number of reasons. One, not all of you are babes. Two, some of you may be older than me. Some of you may be higher ranking, etc. So you may perceive it differently from what I may intend. So understanding how to manage that space is where the communication is different, but it's still communication. Okay, so what to say, who to say it to, when to say it, how to say it are all very important aspects of communicating in a larger, when you're talking to a larger group. Thank you for the love, Ngozi. All right, so understand your fear. We've talked about being aware, and we saw that in our awareness. What's happening? Am I offending people? Why are they leaving? Okay. So your fear, understanding your fear helps you to acknowledge and understand what exactly it is about public speaking that makes you nervous. When you understand your enemy, like we understood fire, like we understood water, let's call it enemy now. It's really not an enemy. It's actually your friend. Okay. But when we understand it, if it's the fear of judgment that is our issue, for example, or it's the fear of making mistakes as our issue, then we can address that. How do I avoid making mistakes? What happens if I do make a mistake? What happens if I forget my lines? How do I fix that? Do I have to have lines? Is there a strategy I can use to address this matter of my lines? If I memorize my speech, am I better off? Or is there another way that I can handle this speech so that I don't even have to have lines and I can still deliver the message that I want to deliver? These are the things that we need to, and that we'll be dealing with in our subsequent masterclass. Right? But it's important to point these out so that we understand that that is how to solve the problem. Now, there are strategies that we use, and I'm sure we all want to know, wait, so this problem that we've understood, how do we solve it? How do we solve it? Okay, there are two types of speeches that you would deliver, or two types of communications with the public, two basic categories. One is the one that you are prepared for. What do I mean? You're a professional, you're working in an organization. Okay, among us, we have teachers. Among us, we have professionals. We have civil servants. We have people who own a business, entrepreneurs. You know already that on the 6th of May, you have a meeting. Today is the 4th, Monday is the 6th. Some of you have a meeting already scheduled for 9 a.m. You already know that at this meeting, you are supposed to make a presentation. Maybe you already have your slides on your computer, all right? This is a prepared speech. It's not a surprise. You already expect it. You are going to be at this meeting. You're going to deliver the speech. Maybe you've had time to practice. You've had time to prepare. You can deal with that. Uh-oh. Oops, sorry. I don't know why my chat is showing everybody. Is that how it's supposed to be? All right, so maybe you can deal with that. But what about when you are called upon to give an impromptu speech? What do I mean? Some of you attended a wedding today. What happens if the father of the day was supposed to be there? He was already notified. They're supposed to come and give a speech on behalf of for the couple. You're supposed to give a speech. You're supposed to be the father of the day. But something happened on his way and he sent a last-minute message. I'm sorry, I can't make it. And now they call on they call on Mr. Benedict, or they call on Mr. Mohammed Kabir, and they say, Mr. Mohammed, please, sorry. This person is not available. Can you come and stand in for the father of the day? Or can you come and stand in as the chairman for this organization? You did not plan it. You came there, you were dressed beautifully. You're probably dressed smart. That's why they called you. But you did not plan any speech. You didn't have time to prepare. How do you deliver a good speech even when you were called on short notice? So that's the second type of speech. And again, in our training, we can also address that because that's a very important thing. There's a strategy. There are strategies, in fact, that you can adopt to be able to handle those kinds of scenarios. And guess what? Those scenarios happen all the time. You can look at your calendar, at your schedule, and you can see where you have slotted your prepared speeches or where you've slotted your meetings where you are anticipating that you're going to give a speech, or you're going to give a talk, or you're going to do a training, or you are going to have to address, maybe it is a vote of thanks or whatever, something has been scheduled for you. You can prepare adequately. But how do you prepare for the unexpected? Okay, so those are the two types. Whichever one it is, there are ways to prepare, and we can prepare adequately. We will not have time to cover that in this class, all right? But that's an important part for us to know, that it is possible to prepare for both. And you know how powerful you'll be when you can prepare for both, when on your feet you can be called upon to do something that nobody expected you to be able to do, even you didn't expect, and you deliver beautifully. That gives you a sense of value that surpasses what you've had before. Okay, and so it's a very important skill to have. And it's amazing that we're able to deal with that also in our subsequent class. All right, but understand also that in your mind, everything begins in the mind. If you, there's a saying that if you say you can, if you say you can't, you're right. Whichever one you say is true. Okay, that you're able to visualize your success. Imagine, see it in your mind's eye, that I will come there, I will give this speech, people will receive it, that they will understand it, and they will get good value for it. Okay, that's something you can do before your speech. Okay, you can visualize it, you can see it in your mind. You can also fill your mind with panic. Hey, God, hey, it's almost time. Oh my goodness. What time is it? Hey, they will soon call me. Hey, my heart is. You can do that, and you will work yourself into a frenzy. By the time you get there, you have forgotten everything because you are in such a panic. So the choice of what mindset to approach your public speaking with is yours. But if you've not been speaking, what do you do? Somebody is thinking right now, you people are talking big, big stuff. Nobody is calling me to even speak. Nobody needs to call you. Guess what? You can start small. You can start, do you know how small you can start? In adulthood, the first few times that I've had to give a speech, my first audience was, who can guess what my first audience was? Let me see a few guesses in the chat. Hey, this is my chat that is showing everybody. I want to show everybody my chat. Yeah? Let me see guesses. Okay, everybody will see my chats. Okay. Okay, somebody says school, somebody says family, kids, church, your children. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, you guys are very close. That's my second audience. My first audience was my reflection in the mirror. Uh-oh. Did somebody? Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, now somebody's typing your mirror. First audience was my reflection in the mirror. Why? I wanted to see how I looked. So I put a phone in front of me and pressed record in front of the mirror. So I'm watching myself and I am playing the video. And then I played it back to myself and it was terrible. It was terrible. Why? Because I'm thinking I'm a certain way. What's going on in my head and what I was delivering were two different things. Did I stop there? Now, if I stopped there and said, that means I'm hopeless. That means I don't know what to do. Then I would just end it there. But there's so much more. There are ways that you can improve yourself. There are organizations you can join. I'm part of an organization that has helped me in so many ways in terms of mentoring, and I recommend it very strongly to anybody who wants to develop themselves, okay? Toastmasters, it's a brilliant way to improve your skill. You say, why are you recommending it when you are also teaching it? I'm teaching it because I'm also aware that it takes time, it takes a certain level of commitment to be able to go through such a process. So that's why the class that I'm offering after this is a class that will help you to pick up some basic skills. You would not have the benefit of someone who is doing it for over a period of time. I've been a member of this organization for over 2 years, okay? And I'm still at it. There are people who have been there for 10 years plus. It's amazing, okay? Wherever it is that you're going to learn public speaking, you will pay. You will pay for it, okay? But the beauty of it is that the things that I've learned from so many years, I'm able to condense into a class that can help you to pick up such amazing skills, to apply some of these things that we are saying and go into details and see how you can transform it to help you, whether you're a professional, whether you're a student, whether you're a coach, whatever it is. But if you decide, you know what, I want to improve myself, I want to become a Toastmaster, I want to commit to such a program, by all means, reach out. I will also connect you with the organization. It's not hard. Or you can even go on Google and you can find it yourself, okay? But whatever the case, see me now talking to you so easily, so freely. I get invited to talk at different platforms. Just yesterday, my organization also did an outreach, a medical outreach, and I addressed a crowd of people I didn't know before. It's not hard to do anymore because of the skills that I have learned. But I started out in front of my mirror. All right, so start small. Now, here's another strategy. Focus on your message. If I ask you, what is your message? What is your message? What do I mean? There are many things I can say, but what is my message? What am I trying to communicate? Focus on that, okay, and deliver it effectively. Take a look at this, for example. We don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough pharmacists, we don't have enough trained personnel to meet that demand. Even though, we have a system that can work,
and we don't have enough manpower, you have to start making concessions. And so you start having to, train and authorize patent medicine stores and chemists and whatnot. The distribution chain is not very tight. So you cannot guarantee, for example, that it's only pharmacies that are selling drugs. You have people peddling drugs on their heads, hawking drugs in the.
Okay. That was an interview that I was called to give at NTA, very short notice. It was virtually an impromptu. In fact, it was impromptu because only when I got there did they tell me this is the thing. And since you're a pharmacist, we thought we should call you. And I did the interview. This is the kind of thing I'm saying. Why? Because I had a message. I had a call. There was something that I could deliver. Okay. Now, what is your message? Is it about whatever it is about? Okay. Whatever is your career, whatever is your area of specialty, whatever it is that you want to, whatever value you want to bring to the world, focus on that message, not only on the message in terms of what you already understand. Many of us in our careers, we have our professional language, our lingo. If a group of doctors are talking now, they have a way that they speak and they understand one another. If a group of engineers are talking, they have a way that they speak. Lawyers, same thing. Teachers maybe even may have the same thing. But how do I break this down in a way that this particular audience will understand? That is the same message. You're focusing on it, but you are able to communicate it in a way that helps the people to understand. Okay, so communicate your message effectively by concentrating on delivering.
We don't have enough doctors.
Your message. Then this one, I love this one. Okay, it's a very important point. Embrace imperfection. Most of us went to school and the goal was what? Pass your exams. In fact, I remember there was a term is it term they used to call it? Yes, term, secondary school. There was a time in secondary school when I was in boarding school and it was in a different state from where my parents were. I did badly. I wasn't happy with my results. I knew they would not be happy. So do you know what I did? I came home. I had my results. So I came home with my results in my box. And I lied. And I'm ashamed that I lied, but I lied. And I said, our results were not given to us yet. They said we'll get them when we go back. Now, I did this because I didn't want to have a miserable holiday. I wanted them to be happy with me. And I didn't want to have to face what would be coming to me because of my results. Does anybody understand this? Can you relate? Right. So what I did was I held on to that result. Okay. Because of this basic fear of mistakes. And we are all raised like that, pass your exam, pass your exam. It's about passing. If you pass, you're a good child. If you fail, you feel like you're a bad child. They may not tell you that you're bad, but many times we came away feeling like we were bad. So that holiday, I was a bad child and I didn't want to be a bad child. So I did something even worse. I lied so that I could cover up the bad result, so that I wouldn't have a bad holiday, so that I could run away, because that fear of making mistakes is so strong. And that fear is one of the second highest in our poll, right? It holds us back from even attempting. It is said that good doctors, good anybody really, good professionals are made by being bad professionals. They have to be bad first before they become good. They have to make mistakes. They have to be bad enough to make the mistakes that will now make them good. So if you think that abracadabra, because you like yourself, you now just one day stand on the international stages that you desire to, so that you can deliver speeches without making mistakes, that won't happen. You will first try and you will make mistakes. And then as you make mistakes and you correct them, as you get feedback and you learn from those mistakes, you'll become better and then you will move forward. That's what happened with me. I had to fix that mindset, okay, so that I could become better. So what do we need to do? We also need to keep practicing. We practice and we practice and we practice. And the more you speak, the better you become. Just like the same with walking. As a child, you walked, you took one step, you stumbled, you got up, you continued. You didn't give up. That's the same way with public speaking. All right, so go to the next one. Okay. Sorry, let me get the next slide up. So I was going to quickly address some of the myths that are associated with okay, please hold on a second. Okay. Okay, so as we're talking, if you have any questions or any comments, please go ahead and share them in the chat. What's happening? Okay. All right, so some of the myths that we have, some of the myths that we believe. And what's a myth? A myth is a belief you hold dear to your heart, but it's not necessarily true. In fact, it's usually untrue. Okay. Some of the myths that we have include I am not a natural speaker. I'll never be good at it. Granted, there's some people who are more skillful, more not skillful, more talented at something than another person. One person may be a more natural speaker. Speaking may be more easy, may come more easily to one person than to another. But just because it's easier for one doesn't mean that they have to be the best. There are children who know mathematics, they just have a natural flair for it. But because they don't practice, because they don't get the right coaching, because they don't take it seriously, or they take their talent for granted, somebody else who is an average student, but who works harder at it, who focuses more energy on it, becomes a better, gets better results or does better in an exam. Okay, so just because you feel like it's not something that comes natural to you doesn't mean that it is not something you can become really good at. So the second myth is people will judge me harshly if I make a mistake. Most people know what it means to make a mistake. Most people make mistakes. Most people have made mistakes before. So most people will understand when you make a mistake. The question is, when you make a mistake, how do you handle it? And there are ways to handle your mistake that makes it okay. One, if you're comfortable with you and you forgive yourself, you make it easier for other people to forgive you. So that's a myth. Another myth is I will embarrass myself in front of others. It's like they say you don't shit for church. Pardon my French. Okay. You're embarrassed because it came out wrong. But it's not true. Sometimes, do you know that sometimes even that mistake We're not saying we should go out and deliberately make mistakes, but sometimes even that mistake is what people find easier to relate to. It means that, okay, this is somebody who's on a journey just like me. They haven't reached the target. Just like me, they're on a journey. Just like me, they're trying to figure things out. Oh, okay, I can relate to this person. Let me even ask him. Let me even ask her a few questions. So you see that that's not necessarily the truth. I don't have anything valuable or interesting to say. This is one of the most false of the myths. They're all false, but this is by far one of the worst. And why? Because each one of us has a perspective on life that is unique, that is different. What do I mean? You may say, if it's in terms of career, what I do is so commonplace. There are so many people that do it. Nobody really wants to hear what I have to say. You'll be surprised that your experience of what you do is unique. What you do may be maybe universal. Everybody, many people do it. But your experience, your story, your lessons from what you're doing are unique to you. And they will be very valuable to many people. Also, that your perspective of what you're saying, how you see things, how you view life is unique to you. And if you can communicate it to us, that would be interesting, because we may be experiencing the same thing you've experienced, but we've never seen it the way you see it. So that's a false belief. Here's another one. I will forget what I want to say and freeze up. It's only so because you've told yourself that. If you understand what you want to say, and we're not talking of cramming it, because if you go and cram what somebody else is saying, then it may be difficult for you to remember it. But if it's something you own, then it's easy to remember it. If I ask you now to come up and tell me what was the most exciting thing that happened to you today, how many people can do it? Let me see by show of hands. To raise your hand, you just go to the bottom of the screen and click raise hand. Or better still, Hassana, you see? Hassana can easily tell us what was the most exciting thing that happened to her today. Okay, so can someone else. I'm actually going to ask you to do it. So I'm going to ask you to unmute. Hassana. Okay, please go ahead. I've asked you to unmute. Yeah, go ahead and tell us what was the most exciting thing that happened to you today.
Oh, okay. We had a route map today, and I was opportune to meet
What's
a lot
happening?
of
The
people.
sound is moving, but I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Joy? Okay, let's try Joy or Joey. Please tell us, is your name Joy or Joey?
It's Joy.
Okay, something is wrong.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's Joy.
Okay, there, I can hear you.
Is it better now?
Yes, okay, so let's do, sorry, I'll mute Joy and then let's do Hassana first. Hassana, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear now. Sorry, it was my own setting.
Oh, okay. Okay, we had a route march today, like a road walk, and
Okay.
I was opportune to meet a lot of people and network, and it was actually very exciting.
There we go.
To meet old friends and make new friends and all that.
Beautiful. A road walk
Yeah.
in the heat of, you're in Abuja, right?
Yeah, so.
Oh, amazing. Okay, that's good. That's lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that. So you see, was that hard? Do you think there was a chance that you may forget what you were trying to say?
Not really.
Right, because it's your experience, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, Joey, please go ahead and unmute.
Okay, it's actually Joy. Yeah.
It's Joy, right?
First.
Joy. Oh, okay.
Just spelled differently.
Nice.
Okay. Mine is kind of easy. As a mother working, and you really don't get to have your weekends to yourself.
Mhm.
Well, I'm excited because I was able to stay home and not do anything, no cooking, just me, myself, and I,
Right.
taking care of my own thing, doing what I want to do that I haven't done in ages, and wait for this this class actually because I didn't want to miss it. So
Oh,
for me, that's big and
awesome.
exciting.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joy. Thank you for sharing. So you see that that's what I'm talking about. It's not likely that you will forget what you experienced. Now, if you wrote it down in a script, you may forget the words, but the experience is still there. So you can say it in your own words because it's your experience. All right. And that's something that debunks that myth. We also have public speaking is only for extroverts. Aha. How many people here consider themselves introverts? Put I in the chat if you're an introvert, E if you're an extrovert. No response. Okay. Okay, interesting. Wow, really? Huh. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So we all consider ourselves introverts. Huh. Nice. Is there any, let me see. Everybody's an introvert here. No extroverts. Huh. Maybe somebody else should be assessing us. Really? So interestingly, I'm an introvert by nature. So the amount of being out there that I do for an introvert is surprising because one of the things about an introvert is that you are introspective, right? You think a lot, you think through things, you process things. Typically, an extrovert may be more outgoing, may jump before really processing many things and all of that. So you think, okay, because I'm an introvert, I like my own space. You heard Joy say that she enjoyed today because she got to spend time with herself, time doing her own things. That's an introvert. That's me. I don't have a problem with my own company. I enjoy my own company, you know. But it's not true that if you're an introvert, then what you have to say is not important. In fact, many times you have processed so much in your mind that by the time it comes out, it's surprising how much value you have to bring to the table. Now, I'm not saying that extroverts are any worse off, not at all, because extroverts too are amazing. They're the life of the party. They're able to help us to move people and get people gingered in many ways. But you'll be amazed that introverts are very good at delivering their messages as well. So again, that's not true. Another one is I'll never be as good as so person. Nobody's asking you to be as good as anyone else. You're just supposed to be the best version of you that you can be. And so it's you on your journey of improving yourself. And that's how we need to perceive it. Okay. And then there's my accent. My accent or my voice is not suitable for public speaking. Now, you may say that in a particular claim. For example, when I got on LinkedIn and I started doing an audio room, to be honest, I felt that, well, I'm Nigerian. Why is my screen glitching? Okay. I'm Nigerian. Some Americans are there. Some Canadians are there. People from different climes. Surprisingly, they listen to what I have to say. My accent, I've heard people speak in a Nigerian accent, very correct Nigerian, Igbo accent, Yoruba accent, whatever, and people are listening to them because what you are saying is what we are listening to. And who you are is coming through no matter what your accent sounds like. It's not true that your accent is going to hinder you in any way from being heard. What hinders you is the mindset. And if you can overcome that mindset, you can overcome it. Then second to the last, right? I'll never be able to control my nerves. Now, again, this is a mindset issue. There are ways that we can teach you to help you to control your nerves. For some people who have it extreme, some people are extreme. Some people just get nervous around public speaking. Most people get nervous around public speaking. But the more you know what to do, the less nervous you get. But some people have extreme situations where if they stand on stage, they start to tremble. Okay. And for such people, there are ways in which we can also help you and support you and help you to overcome that. Okay. So again, it is not true. There are people who were so bad there was a lady I knew who I know, who was so bad when I first met her. Not bad, but I mean her nerves, right? She would be so nervous that she will, mid-sentence, she will lose her train of thought. She would break out in a sweat. She will change, her skin would change color because it was really bad. But she's getting over it because there are ways to overcome this thing. It's just fear. And the more knowledge she gets, the better she's able to overcome. And then lastly, no one will listen or care what I have to say. Now, obviously, that's not true. Have you heard some real nonsense speaking online? If you stay online enough, on Instagram, on YouTube, not everybody's making a lot of sense. So how many people know that? Not everybody's making sense. Some people are talking outright nonsense, as in everybody knows that what they're saying is nonsense, but they have a following. Does anybody know any examples like that? Okay, maybe you shouldn't type it in chat box so that I won't say that we said this. But there are people like that who are saying nonsense, who are singing nonsense, and they have a large following because every one of us is important. And your message may not be important to A, B, C, and D, but it will be important to E, F, G, and H. So everybody has a space where what they are saying is important. All right. So this brings us to the end of today's free public speaking training. If you got value, if what we shared had any value to you, I want you to put a 1 in the chat box. If it got value to you, gave you some value, if it was useful, I want you to put a 1. Okay, thank you, Benedict. I see your response. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Suleiman. Thank you, Hassana. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Aisha. Okay, thank you. Helen, thank you so much. Thank you for your responses. Thank you for responding. Oh, Aisha is an extrovert. There we go. I was like, this is a meeting of introverts. Aisha. Okay, we want to hear Aisha's voice because she's the only extrovert here. Okay, so I'm going to allow her to unmute and just say hello. So this is an unplanned speech, Aisha. Where is Aisha? Okay. That's Aisha Nasidi, right? Okay, there we go.
Oh, good evening, ma. Good evening,
Hey, good
everyone.
evening. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How is the weekend?
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the lecture. I've learned a lot. I enjoyed it. I am an extrovert.
Okay.
I am an easygoing person. I easily make friends. I socialize with anybody I meet around me. And everybody and anyone is welcome to my terrain. I hardly think much before I act. I might have some mistakes after any actions or inactions, but I don't mind because that is me. I'm just the way I am. I hardly process information before I blow them out. Most times introverted people might keep quiet, be observing situations. I observe, not that extroverts do not observe. I observe situations to the best of my ability, but I hardly take much time to think of any business or anything I want to venture in. Even in the office, if I see any wrong action going on, I just quickly make amends or talk to the person and make corrections. Though being in HR, it is part of my role to like correct people that err, but I hardly think much before I act, honestly.
Wow.
And I don't have regret because that is me.
You don't have what?
I don't regret afterwards.
Okay. There
Even
we
if
go.
I fail, I move on. I amend some things that I can change, but there are some things that I can't change. It is in me.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, thank you
But
so much.
I'm so loved. People love me so much. And
You
I can easily adapt and adjust to being with introverted people and extroverted people. I deal with you as you are. I cannot generalize people because we are all wired differently. In
Right.
my team, I have introverts, I have extroverts. So I work with all of them perfectly well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. And you see, that is a typical extrovert. Indeed, you have proved yourself an extrovert because typically, on the cuff, off the cuff, she was able to just give the speech. An introvert may be thinking, hey, God, why did she call me? Why would I? What would I? And we have those emotional struggles. And you heard
Yes,
what she said at the end of the day, she doesn't even regret it afterwards. So she's not going to go back and do one review of, hey, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have. This is a personality thing. This one is follow come. Now, God just put them there like that. Do you understand? Which is remarkable. Thank you so much for sharing. That
thank
is
you, my
how, yes. And that is, so you may now think, oh, you see, I'm not like Aisha. I wasn't born like Aisha. I don't know how to behave like Aisha. Therefore, I cannot do what Aisha does. You will be surprised. You can outdo Aisha
sure.
because if you understand, if you learn what she knows by nature, but also hone the skills by being taught, by being mentored, you can become a greater speaker, a better networker, a more effective leader than an Aisha who hasn't been taught beyond what she naturally has. Now, if Aisha also, in addition to what she knows, what she has by nature, also gets the training, gets it honed, you can imagine what will happen. So that is what we're talking about. Okay. So in this class, we've talked about the fact that we need to be aware, the fact that we need to understand what public speaking is, what is holding us back, and the fact that we also need to be able to practice. We need to understand also the value, what we are bringing to the table. We also need to understand how to do it. There's a way to do it. There's the skill. We need to learn that skill. And then we need to practice. And then we become better and better at delivering our messages. And our messages are diverse as our careers. Okay, so what am I offering you? I'm glad that your feedback is that you've got a lot of value, but there's so much more. What we did in this class was we just scratched the surface, scratch the surface of different things that we can achieve going forward. I have 2 classes that are coming up related to public speaking. One of them is public speaking and healthcare. Public speaking and healthcare. I will place the link in the chat box so that those who want to join, who are people in health or people who are working in the health space, but want to know how do I communicate my messages effectively as a healthcare worker, they will join that class. Then those who want to just learn how to prepare their speeches effectively, you want one-on-one coaching on how to prepare your speeches effectively, you will join the second class. So I will title them clearly so that you understand them. I hope everybody, I'm assuming everybody here in this meeting is also in the WhatsApp group because that's probably how you got to know about the meeting, okay? So I'm going to be posting those 2 in the group right away. In fact, I'm posting them as we take questions. So at this point, if you have any questions or any comments, you can raise your hand, your virtual hand, and you will be asked to unmute. We'll do that for the next 5 minutes before we wrap this up. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here so far. So let's take questions. People who have. Okay. Suleiman is asking for the WhatsApp group link. For which of them? Is it for the general group for this class? Is it the group for this class or is it one of the 2 that I've mentioned now? Please clarify your question, or I could ask you to unmute. Okay, the one of how to prepare speeches. Yes, so I'm posting both on the group now. Let me quickly do that. Okay. Okay. Sorry. This one here. Okay. Sure. So that's I've put it on the group. I hope Suleiman is in the group. Okay, Hassan, oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Oh, good. I'm glad it was helpful. The second one. So any questions? Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your feedback. Any questions? Okay. So I take it there are no questions. All right, so I'm going to put the groups, the links on the group like I mentioned. And if you're interested in any of those, you can go ahead and join. Otherwise, if you want subsequent comments or questions, then you can put those on the WhatsApp group. Lastly, if you have any other comments or questions, post them on the group as well. Since we're all on the group, I want to thank you all for your time and thank you for being here. Those two, okay, there's a question. Aisha, okay. My take home is on working on fear of public speaking as a result of nervousness or stage fright. We can overcome that by constantly speaking and rehearsals. Learning is a continuous process in life. We keep learning, unlearning, and relearning. The speaker, thanks for the amazing speech. I hope to be in your class next time. Oh, thank you so much. I hope you join one of the groups, okay? So that we can continue this going forward. Those are paid classes, but they are very, very affordable classes, and you will get that information when you join the groups. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being here. Have a beautiful weekend in the absence of any other thing. Yes, Aisha is in the group. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And have a good evening. Bye for now.